Jack's time in the military really set the foundation of our culture because he was flying off aircraft carriers. That was dangerous. They didn't have radars. It was about mission, discipline, teamwork. You didn't know if you were coming back. And so those philosophies in the military help shape the way we think about the business today. And what's so important for us in moving forward is that we recognize our history, our legacy, what has made us so successful, and we want to bring that into the future.
Chrissy Taylor is the third generation of her family to run car rental giant Enterprise Mobility, formerly known as Enterprise Rent-A-Car, which her grandfather Jack Taylor founded nearly 70 years ago, and her father Andy Taylor ran for nearly 2 decades. Chrissy took over as CEO in January 2020 after starting, at the bottom at a car rental branch in 2000 and working her way up through the company over nearly 2 decades.
So I started my career in 1995 as an intern during my freshman year in college at the St. Louis group. And it was a great entry into the business and into the operations. I loved it so much, I became a full-time management trainee in 2000. And from there, worked my way up to a branch manager. And then from there, I had 17 different roles within the company, moving around, understanding how big we were, what different departments were. And then I took an opportunity over in our international department. And so I worked internationally for 3 years and then came back. I ran North America and then eventually became CEO in 2020. I love the experience of being in the management training program because you're really learning how to run your own business. You are being your own entrepreneur and you are developing marketing plans. You are driving customer service. And so it really is getting your MBA and running your own business when you become a branch manager. And so the management training is a critical piece of the puzzle when we think about the growth at Enterprise Mobility.
Chrissy's dad, who had served as CEO for nearly 2 decades, decided that he was ready to move on and transition into the executive chairman role, which he still holds today, in 2013. And at that point, Chrissy had been working her way up through the ranks, and he kind of knew that she was the logical successor, but she was still very young at that point. So instead of, forcing it and making her CEO maybe before she was ready, they actually tapped the first non-family CEO, a woman by the name of Pam Nicholson, who wasn't family, but she was like family. She had joined Enterprise right out of college and been there for 30, 40 years. So she served as CEO for that sort of 7-year gap between when Andy stepped aside in 2013 and Chrissy became CEO in 2020. From everything I've seen, it seems like it was a smart decision that really benefited the company.
Pam has always been a huge supporter of mine, a mentor, a trusted friend, and she taught me how to operate the business. We were going to Europe. We needed to make sure that our European team was successful in any country that we operated in. We needed to make sure that we were growing the business, we were promoting our employees, they had the tools to be successful, and then we were providing great customer service. And so Pam was a true illustration of our 4 core areas and driving the business forward. Our company is successful because we are privately held, multi-generation, and we invest for the long haul.
Late last year, Chrissy rebranded the company, which had been known as Enterprise Holdings previously, to Enterprise Mobility. And the reason, as she explains it, for that was, less to signal major changes to the business that were coming imminently, and more so to reflect the fact that they have over time evolved to do a lot more than people think of when they think of enterprise. Traditional car rental, we estimate, accounts for about 2/3 of their sales, but the company does a lot of other things accounting for that other 1/3 of sales. They rent trucks, they sell and lease cars, They even have, a software like Integral, which is used by insurance companies and parts makers and auto shops to really streamline the post-accident communication process. Even among private companies, enterprise really stands out in terms of, the Taylor family's just really obsession with reinvesting in the business over and over and over again.
We changed the company name to Enterprise Mobility because it better describes who we are and what we do. So Jack Taylor, my grandfather, founded the company in 1957 with 7 cars as a leasing business, and today we have 9 distinct mobility lines. We're in over 90 countries around the world, and we have 90,000 amazing employees. And so we have grown, we have evolved, and so Enterprise Mobility better tells the story of who we are and what we do, and that positions us for the future.
They've actually taken a very cautious approach to EVs relative to some of their peers, which has turned out to be prudent, as Hertz in particular has found that racing into EVs was maybe not, they sort of got ahead of customer demand there. Chrissy is, through their venture arm, Enterprise Mobility Ventures, really pushing her team to look at what's out there. And so they're investing in companies that may play a role in the future of the mobility space. As it relates to EVs, they're investing in companies that work on electric charging stations. They have investments in companies that are doing work on autonomous driving. And then they're looking, even further out and starting to think about what might happen with things like nuclear fission and hydrogen, and who are the companies in that space that would make sense to partner with.
We are prepared for EV, we could be prepared for autonomous vehicle, whatever technology comes, we really want to make sure that we're putting the customer at the center of all of that and grow our core businesses. That's when we're successful, and that's what we've done for over 65 years.
Chrissy started in January 2020. By mid-March, COVID had hit in full force. It was unlike anything the car rental industry had ever faced. What we heard was that she's just really a natural leader and grabbed the bull by the horns, and I think that made a huge difference. She had to make some tough decisions. There just simply weren't enough cars, so they had to make the decision to close down a bunch of their retail branches to focus on their business-to-business customers, which account for an estimated 2/3 of their sales. Those choices, while hard, really benefited the company in helping them get through the pandemic. Coming out of COVID in 2023, they, reported 2 consecutive years of record revenue. Hertz went bankrupt during COVID, and Avis did a little better, but their credit rating was downgraded, and Enterprise managed to maintain their balance sheet strength and their credit ratings, which I think says a lot.
One of the things I learned very quickly becoming CEO in January 2020 was that I cannot over-communicate to the team. Over-communication, whether in times of challenge, concern, issue, and over-communication when we're in times of good and thanking people and recognizing people, you've got to do that. You have to do that. And so my number one lesson that I have learned since being CEO in 2020 was I cannot over-communicate, and I enjoy talking to our team, and it's the right thing to do.
So the Taylor family, they have a pair of charitable foundations which together have given away more than $1 billion to date. One is the Enterprise Mobility Foundation, which really serves all of the global communities that the business, and then there's the family's Crawford Taylor Foundation, which is St. Louis focused. And so it's, focused on a bunch of different areas, but it all gets at, revitalizing St. Louis.
Another one of our founding philosophies is give back to the communities that have made us so successful. We brought an MLS team, City, SC, into St. Louis, and the community totally stepped up. Making sure we're giving back to the communities that have made us so successful falls right in line with our values.